Dude, that hurt, dude. Oh, God. They're like mini heart attacks.
What's
Dude.
up, ladies and gents? Welcome to episode 7, the long overdue episode 7 of Pixel Beast. I am your host, Jake. Of course, I've got the big cheese himself, the big kahuna, the great Bambino, Mr. Hippity Hiccup himself, Alex. What's up, man?
I don't know why you wanted to start this. Like, we sit down to start this podcast. I'm like, give me a minute. I'm working through some awful hiccups. You're like, fuck it. Here we go. We're live. Ow.
Let's just go.
All right,
like that'll be the story. That'll be the story of the podcast, man. You working through your hiccups, dude.
Okay.
I will tell you what. So, because it's been, I took a little bit of a break just because I had a lot of stuff going on. I've been back home the past couple of weekends, doing a bunch of stuff, and then I've been getting back into working out and dieting. So my body's just been adjusting and tired and sleeping all the time. So I've just been getting acclimated to this new healthy lifestyle and all these activities. And I'm like, you know what? I need to take a minute and take a break. So, but I'll tell you what though, when I logged into Zencaster and I got recording, I immediately got that feeling, that feeling from The Force Awakens when Han and Chewie first get onto the Millennium Falcon. He's like, Chewie, we're home. Or Chewie. Oh, let's see if I can do a Harrison Ford. Hold on.
Do it.
Hey, Chewie, we're home. I can't do it. But no, that's what I felt like. Those chills. I got those chills. I'm like, oh, I'm back. I'm back, dude. Baby.
I'm glad.
Back with a vengeance.
I know we've talked about it before, but I'm just glad I'm not on camera right now because every one of these hiccups looks like I took like a physical gunshot.
Dude, I wish we had like live feed of our faces. I would love to see that right now.
It got me again just now. Oh man, you guys want to know see how long I can hold my breath?
Let's do it.
Jake runs out of stuff to talk about. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so this episode's gonna be a little different. We do not have a subject. Well, even if we did have subject, let's be real, we never really stick to the script anyway. We kind of go off on wild tangents. I think we had one day where we were talking about Call of Duty and Fallout, and somehow we got into the future of Halo. So I don't know. We're just going to talk about stuff. So did you know that the world's first oldest computer...
Okay. All right. I can go like, as soon as you fucking started talking, I was smiling the whole time. He's going to crack me. But I was like, what? I was like 30 seconds and I haven't had a hiccup?
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. I will keep that fact in my back pocket.
Dude, me
when we have some
Black used to like compete in pools when we get bored to see how long we could hold breath. And dude, I'm telling you, we killed probably some brain cells, dude. I'm not kidding.
Zach, I did the same thing. I could never beat him.
I beat him. I remember I could beat him, but I'm talking like almost a minute and a half underwater. Like I remember I told Shelby, he's like, don't even touch my head until I'm after a minute. That's when the game starts.
Wow. Okay.
Oh man, it got real, dude. Like, and Shelby could testify. I was like, because I used to have her be like, hey, tap me every 30 seconds. I was like, don't even bother unless it's been a minute. I'll be fine.
Don't tap me unless it's 60 seconds in. Dude, I think my limit, my highest level I've ever, or my highest time is probably like maybe a second after a minute. I can't do any more than that.
Dude, after a minute, it's like you're on fire. Your body's screaming at you. But then you watch those damn videos of that. There's like a video of like a superhuman. I think it might actually been hosted by Stan Lee, like a show where he goes out and finds superhuman people. And I think one of the episodes, a dude would go and like snorkel or scuba dive without a tank, and he'd be underwater for like 15 minutes at a time.
Have you not watched the behind the scenes of the latest Mission Impossible, the Fallout?
No.
So Tom, I'm going to butcher the exact time, but Tom Cruise, for one of the scenes, did you ever see Mission Impossible Fallout?
Yeah, me and Shelby went to go watch The Gray. Wait a minute, is that the one with Superman?
That's the one that Henry Cavill.
No, I haven't seen that one. I saw the one before.
Dude, you have to go. Okay, this one is really good too. There is a scene where I won't try to spoil too much, but basically they have to infiltrate this. I think this water cooled computer system, really high tech thing, really big, and he and Ethan Hunt has to hold his breath for like 6 or 7 minutes or whatever, something crazy. And Tom Cruise actually trained to conserve his energy and hold his breath. I think he said he could hold it for almost 8 or 9 minutes,
Dude.
because when they were filming, they would do long extended shots, and those
Right.
long extended shots of him in the water are actually him holding his breath for that amount of time.
You know
It's
what?
wild.
What's nuts about that is that we haven't even been doing this podcast for 6 minutes, and I'd be yeah. If I
Yeah,
were
think
trying to hold
about
my
that.
breath and do it
Think
that
about,
long,
you thought you had hiccups for a freaking eternity, or eternity.
word
And right now Tom Cruise is still holding his breath
right to this day. Some
to
people,
this day. Some say he's never breathed again. That's how he stays so young. He just holds his
yeah,
breath.
you would have. I would have got around to the minute and a half mark, and you just would have heard like a thud as me collapse to the floor dead.
Dude, no lie though, Tom Cruise is without a doubt one of my favorite action stars ever.
Dude,
I
for real, dude.
mean,
I was laying in bed the other night with Shelby, and we were watching The Last Samurai because she'd never seen it, and she fell asleep like 30 minutes in, and I ended up sitting up watching most of it. I was like, I need to go to bed, but this
dude,
movie's
that's a
so hard.
long. Isn't that movie like 2.5 hours or something
It's on
crazy?
the longer side, but what pisses me off is that it was like at the very end of June we were watching this. Like I think it was like the day before our anniversary, and we were sitting there watching it, and I was like, I'll finish it later. It was on Netflix, and on July 1st they took it off. I went to go finish it. I was like, son of a
Of
bitch.
course.
Now I gotta go buy it. Which I
You
mean, I
know,
don't feel bad because I like that movie enough. Speaking of
I don't
movies,
know.
I
Oh yeah,
remembered something.
oh good.
Well, it's crazy that we've gone, from talking about how long I can hold my breath to hiccups to movies. But one thing I actually wanted to tell you, and I might as well tell you here, is I finally watched all 3 John Wick movies. I did it.
Oh my god. If I wasn't trying to like screw up the audio so bad, because doing these episodes and doing the background editing, I've kind of realized, how loud to be and how crazy to go. So I'm going to lightly clap my hands behind the mic, and I'm going to be visually excited, but that's freaking awesome, dude.
Dude, it's crazy because I literally, and I've told you this before, I literally saw the first one as soon as it came out. I remember me and Tim, my brother, were in Shelby. We're all down in Westport, and we were having a good time. And every club or bar we stopped at, just John Wick commercials were coming up, and I was like, "What is this movie?" I was like, "Man, they were really pushing this movie." So we saw it right when it came out, and we are like, "Dude, that was really good." Like I went in expecting nothing, and I really enjoyed it. And then I couldn't wait for the second one. But then my brother saw it, said he wasn't a fan, so I didn't watch it. And then you told me that they were great. And so now, however many years it's been, I watched John Wick 2
I think
about
it's
a
only
year
been. I
ago.
think the Parabellum came out last year, so I think
Yeah.
you're good, because the
Yeah.
next one comes out either. I think they have it slated for next year, I believe. But
Right.
before you go into it, because I have questions,
Ooh.
I have questions for you, but I have half a mind to call Tim right now and just tell him without context, I win, mother. I can't remember if I have this set to explicit or not. Have I cussed on this before? I can't remember.
I don't know. You cuss at me all the time off mic, so
Yeah. All right, mother flipper. Take that, Tim. But okay, so you finally saw 2. What do you think of 2?
2, I actually think I liked more than 3. I liked
Mm-hmm.
that it expanded like the world of assassins a lot. Because I mean, that was like my favorite part of the first one. I was like, man, this world is so interesting. I'd like to
Yeah.
see more. And granted, I watched 2 like a year ago, but it's taken me this long to finally watch 3. But I rewatched 2 the night before I watched 3, which I just watched 3 today. So I rewatched John Wick 2 yesterday, and I like. I really like John Wick 2. I like that it went to Rome. I thought that was really cool. I like the idea of there
Mm-hmm.
being a continental hotel in every major city, and like that whole like it's the James Bond scene that you always see where he goes to Q and he gets the new gadgets and his guns and
Yeah.
all that stuff, but with John Wick. And I was like, dude, that was sweet. I loved how they do that, and it's just so
Dude, the fact that in 2 that the guy that has the weapons and he's talking about the weapons, he
Pete.
explains them like he's a wine connoisseur. and I
Oh
love
yeah,
that.
yeah. I just saw Pete from Shaun of the Dead. Pete.
Yeah, oh yeah. I never realized that. That's
It's
Pete.
Pete.
I
That's
knew I
Pete.
saw him from somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god. You just blew
Every
my
time I
mind,
see him in
dude.
a new movie, I'm like, Pete.
I know. I was like, man, I recognize him from somewhere. I can't
Oh
believe I
man.
never put the two together.
Not to
So
mention John Wick 2 like expanded John Wick's arsenal from just a handgun to and knives
yeah,
to an assault rifle and a shotgun and like that whole like 2 scenes in Rome from when he assassinates that chick
the escape from the
and
cathedral.
the escape was just
Yeah,
top tier. Like
dude.
that and that dude the dude that the bodyguard of that lady what
Yeah,
that I loved that guy. I was really disappointed that we didn't see him in John Wick 3.
I think he's gonna come back though.
Really?
I thought the same thing. I was like, man, where did he go? I was surprised I didn't see him,
Right.
but I have a feeling he's gonna make a big return. Like I
Yeah.
really do. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't have such a dramatic exit like that,
Yeah.
and you're still alive to to not be back in a movie.
Granted, I mean
Um,
these movies take place like immediately after each other, so it's like he probably needed to take a couple days off after
and
that final movie.
I have to agree with you because out of the three that we have so far, Chapter 2 is definitely my favorite. Something about you know 1 and 3 I think are tied for 2. Like I can't pick one over the other because they're both really good to me. 2 is my favorite. Just the how the story progresses and just the flow of the movie, in my
Right.
opinion, is really good, and just the gunplay is really good. 3 is great. The thing with 3, and this is after watching it a few times. 3 is a nonstop just adrenaline rush.
Right.
It is an hour and 45-minute adrenaline rush that does not slow down.
Right.
It's like it's because it takes place right after 2. So
You
he's being
literally
chased
hit the
down
ground
the
running,
entire
literally from the
right.
whole yeah.
And they really just I mean, the interesting thing about 3, and I thought the fighting scenes were really good. I mean, him fighting off a bunch of assassins on a horse I thought was awesome.
Yeah, the
Him
motorcycle chase scene, dude. He
him
killed a dude
putting
with a
together
fucking book.
yeah, him in the antique gun museum, and
And
he is putting
yeah.
together a revolver, and because the cartridge he wants to use doesn't fit, so he takes apart multiple revolvers and puts them together just in time to shoot one round. I
Yep.
thought was really cool. Like him get it almost kind of seemed like him uh losing it a little bit because the way that he threw all those like he threw like 10 knives into that guy that was clearly just on death's door. He
Oh,
could have
dude,
let him go and he would have
that
died.
was
He
my
just
favorite
went,
fight in
no,
the whole movie. The knife
yeah,
fight with him and those 3 guys where like the dude chucks like they're throwing knives back at each other. Some of them are hitting and John Wick's just pulling them out of himself and throwing them back. And I was like,
yeah,
what?
that
That was
that
probably
was
my favorite fight in the
awesome.
whole movie.
Yeah,
For sure.
that one was really good. The end fight in the Continental I thought was fantastic.
Right.
Just the aesthetic of it, the lighting of it, and
I
then that
liked
special room with the glasses.
yeah.
I will
Yeah.
say my favorite, if I had to pick my favorite fight from that movie, it did not come from Keanu Reeves. It was the one with Halle Berry and her
And our
dogs.
dogs. Dude,
That
yeah.
scene gives me chills every time I watch it
The
because she is
choreography of
just,
that with the
oh my
dogs
god,
is crazy. Like I
just
like
the way she's yelling at the dogs, how the dogs are just, I mean, they're not sidekicks. It's like they're their own, I don't know, being. Like
dude and yeah. The
it was like they
cinematography
were like SEAL
complemented
Team
it.
6 with
Right.
a woman and 2 dogs.
Right. Yeah. It was I loved that. That was really, really cool. I but going back like I think my favorite is still John Wick 1. I loved kind of like what you said with John Wick 3. It's like it's a non-stop adrenaline, like keep going. It's like they would fit a fight scene anywhere they could because of
Yeah.
they're like it's number 3, we need to step it up. Whereas I felt like John Wick 1 was like every fight scene had a purpose. John Wick 2 did as well. John Wick 2 wasn't afraid to take fight scenes like in the back seat for a while. Like, I thought that was cool because then you kind of got to learn about the characters in the world a bit. But John Wick 1, I loved like learning about the world, the Continental. Willem Dafoe, I thought was awesome.
It was still really
The bad guy, I thought was really good.
mysterious.
And I
It was
loved
still really
John Wick's
mysterious,
motivation.
yeah.
I love John
Yeah.
Wick's motivation in the first one. Just killed his dog, stole his car.
You want to know what I love so
Perfect.
much about the first one is, and if you can hear Taco in the background, he's wanting
Oh, I can't
attention.
hear him.
Um, I love how John Wick comes off as more of a boogeyman. Like this, like the story, like 2 and 3, he's like back into his groove of a master assassin,
Right.
and you kind of expect it, but it's like the the feeling that they build this guy to be in the first one it's like every time you see him enter a room and he starts a gunfight, you can just tell that everyone there is afraid and does not want to be like, they create, like, because they call him the
The
oh
boogeyman.
it's they call him the boogeyman, but it's from their, I can't remember what the actual
Oh yeah, it's like
translation
Russian for
is.
boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like he comes off as a boogeyman in that entire movie. It is so awesome.
Right. Yeah,
Um, but
for
yeah,
sure.
that series is. I'm so glad that you watched it, though, man.
Dude, like I said, it's like I saw the first one as soon as it came out, and I loved it. And my brother was really the one that really got me to go like pull the trigger and go see it. And he saw the second one way before me, and he's like, I wasn't a huge fan. And so I was just like, okay. And so I just slept on it, and I regret that. I always kind of have, but now I finally
And
got it.
one of my favorite parts of two, and because you hear about it in the first one, I
The
think, okay,
pencil
you know
fight.
what? Okay, yeah. So I'm for sure that I set this to explicit, so I'm gonna go for it. But like in the first movie, he's telling his son that he killed a man with a pencil, a fucking pencil, and then
Right.
like stuck it and like kind of lunged at him, in the neck. And
Yeah.
then you see in the movie he's getting chased, and you see it's like instant. You see a couple pencils
And
next
you're
to
like,
these guys
yes,
on this bar,
yes.
and you're like, yes, please use the pencils, please. And he uses them. It's so great.
I know, like, and that's why I mentioned earlier. I was like, dude, he killed somebody with a book, like, and then it
Yeah,
wasn't just him bashing him with a book. He like killed a dude with a book. It
I
was, and
totally
then
forgot about that.
dude in the
The
library,
like
dude, he breaks.
the very first one. Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah, he breaks his neck with a book, and then puts the book back on the shelf in the library, covered in blood, and he just slides it back onto the shelf. Crazy.
Oh man, it's I could go on about those movies and that lore. I love and I love the mysteriousness of the first movie, because you didn't know much of, like, you knew there was a Continental, you knew that there were some sort of rules because of this underground assassin cult, and that was basically, and they followed those rules, and that was basically it. Everything else about it was mysterious, but it's like I thought it was a really good way to tell the story, because you're coming in, you're not they're
It
not
didn't bog down the
explaining it as
story with
a
exposition.
origin story. You come
Yeah.
in to the story and it's like, this is a real, functioning society that you're just coming into. So of course you're not going
Hmm.
to know anything about it. And then they kind of open it up a little bit in 2, and then 3 they really expand on that story, on that lore.
Right.
Um but
Down to
yeah,
the
that
whole like whenever he was going to like Arabia in 3, and I was like, man, this is gonna, because he's looking for the elder, who is above the high table, and I was like, this is getting to some Assassin's Creed level shit. And then he straight up takes off his left ring finger. I'm like, this is some Assassin's Creed level shit.
I am
And
so glad you brought that up, because that reminded me, I have a theory for Kill in the next movie.
ooh,
I seriously believe there is going to be some sort of hidden blade kill with the missing finger, and I think it's going to be some way of paying homage to Assassin's Creed. I
wouldn't that
really
be
they
neato?
wouldn't have put they wouldn't have made so much emphasis on that scene of him cutting off his finger without it having some sort of meaning down the line. I
Right.
think that was hardcore foreshadowing to something something crazy that's going to happen, and I seriously believe he's going to have some sort of like assassin blade that comes through his ring finger and kills someone.
Dude, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Man,
For sure. But yeah, finally saw John Wick, all of them. And
that
I,
makes me happy.
yep.
I could end the podcast now, and I think that'd be a successful
So,
podcast
so
if
what have
I'd
we
listened to it.
covered? We got Holding Your Breath and John Wick.
Yeah, man. if you play, I know, I've been home the past couple weekends. I know we've jumped on with cousins and friends and everyone, playing a couple things. Have you been playing anything on the side? Just, I
Dude,
mean, what have you been doing the
my
past couple weeks?
my
What's been your
obsession
go to?
my obsession lately has been like just without a doubt Halo. I've
Yeah,
been going back into Halo and just having so much fun with because I've been making a lot of videos about Halo just ever since honest to God, it was really them and showing that Halo Infinite trailer that confirmed that the Banished were in Halo Infinite got my
yeah,
blood pumping because we talked about this before, but like 2 years ago, I made a video that was just called "Why the Banished Need to Return in Halo Infinite." It, and I was like, it just needs to happen because it's like it's familiar but different. You're fighting the Covenant, but you're not fighting the Covenant, and it's not confusing and it's good. It's good change, but still on familiar ground.
it's
And
it's it's an interesting change, but like you said, it's familiar and it kind of brings Halo back to its roots a little bit,
right,
and they can kind of build from that. Which,
not,
yeah, I
not
agree.
yeah, not even to mention that Atriox is probably the most interesting villain that we've had since the Prophet of Truth. So it's like, yeah, use him. And so yeah, they showed that trailer. It got me just hyped on like the hype train for Halo Infinite has officially left the station, and I'm dying to see more. And the
July
gameplay.
23rd.
Yep, I
July
was gonna say,
23rd, we're getting gameplay.
ooh baby, yeah, I'm so excited for that. And so either way,
And
I've
it
been
better be
really
gameplay. I swear if it's I I don't rag on Microsoft much cuz I am kind of a Microsoft fanboy, but if they say gameplay and it
they need to
turns
bring.
out to be whatever that video was last month that they called gameplay reveal, I'm going to lose my
Oh, you
crap,
talking
man.
about AC Valhalla
Yeah.
gameplay?
I
Woo!
was so excited to see gameplay of that game, and it was just the trailer. That
Yeah, dude. Oh,
man.
speaking of Assassin's Creed, we'll go right back to Halo, but Assassin's Creed Valhalla's gameplay is getting revealed in like 4 days. It's a 30-minute
Yeah,
video,
they're
but it leaked today.
Ubisoft,
It
oh,
leaked.
wait, what?
It leaked today, and so I haven't seen it myself. I'm sure I could find it. Ubisoft's ripping them down as fast as they can, but people have talked about 100% what it is, and it looks and
Dude,
sounds cool.
what have you heard? Have you heard anything? I didn't even
Yeah,
know that
like
it
they
leaked.
talked about um how the naval combat worked and like the aesthetic. They said that no Assassin's Creed game has looked more like The Witcher 3 than this.
Then,
And
well, it's kind of hard when, you have a very fantasy Viking-esque background. I
right.
mean, kind of that
Yeah.
medieval look.
They
So,
said like things like Spartan kicks have returned. You dual
good.
wield axes. But man, I just read it like an hour ago, and I was kind of reading through, and I immediately quit reading because I was going to watch it, but I didn't delve in deep enough. But yeah, in
It
like
was a
4 days, they're gonna reveal the like I think they said like 30 minutes of gameplay.
I'm
So
pumped. I'm pumped
oh
for
yeah,
that game.
so I'm
And
really excited to see that.
that one's gonna be on smart delivery too, so if you end up getting the Series
Oh
X,
hell
you
yeah,
get the upgraded version of that, which
dude.
I'm saving up. I'm making sure that I have enough, or at least my credit cards are paid off by the time that the Series X comes out.
My whole thing with the Series X, and it has nothing necessarily to do with the Series X. I'm sure it's going to be a fine console. I mean, it's a good investment because it's the next generation of Xbox. But my big thing with it is like I am so excited at the concept of there will be a day. Hopefully, it's the same day because they say it's a launch title that I go to wherever I'm picking up my Xbox on day one, and I pick up my brand new next generation Xbox with the brand new next generation Halo, and just
Yeah.
that just gets me excited.
They're gonna have, man. I'd be surprised because isn't Infinite coming out around the same time
They say it's a
as
launch
the
title.
release?
They say it's a launch title, so I'm hoping it
I'd
comes out the
be
same day,
I'd be
so that I can
shocked
literally be hooking
if
up my
it's
Series
not
X.
a bundle. I'd be surprised
Oh
if it's
yeah,
not
make
a
a
release
infinite.
bundle.
Dude, yeah, because that's what I'll buy,
Because they're
hands
gonna.
down.
I bet. I predict they're gonna have a Cyberpunk bundle, and then they're gonna have a Halo Infinite bundle.
Well, they've definitely delayed
Those are
Cyberpunk
the two
enough.
that I think are, well. I think for good reason. I
Mm.
honestly think that the game was probably ready to release in September, but they probably assumed that it would help the sales of the Xbox Series X if they released it at the same time. That way you could experience the Series X and the power of the Series X. That's why I think as soon as I saw that, my first thought was there's a Cyberpunk bundle that's releasing along,
Right.
and that's why I think there's gonna be a standard edition, there's gonna be a Cyberpunk edition, and there's gonna be a Halo edition. I
My big
guarantee you.
fear is like if I buy the Halo edition, like unless it's like a custom Halo Xbox, that'd be cool and fine. But I really am a fan. I buy those Halo collector's editions, so it's like, am I gonna
See,
buy this damn thing twice? Come on.
you know, and that's funny because I the Series X I feel like got a lot of flack for its very basic, PC tower look when they
Right.
unveiled it, but the simplicity of it, makes it such a huge potential as an empty canvas. Like, could
Right.
you imagine? I mean, I'm sure you could with the
Like
PS5, you could probably have some pretty gnarly looking, you know, PS5, special game editions.
right.
But I just with the aesthetic of that console,
It's
it's
just a
going to be
blank
really
canvas.
tough. It's going to be really tough to make it look good. But with the Xbox, it's literally just a black rectangle.
Right.
It's
It's
an
a
empty
blank
canvas.
canvas for you to do whatever you want with.
Can you imagine the I mean, the custom consoles we could get? Like that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah,
It's like
that
PC tower customization.
yeah. That'd be cool, dude. I hope like I know they show that it's got like the green light on top, but I mean you could get like a Halo one that has a blue light on top. It's like
Yeah.
things like that.
I'd
That'd be
be
cool.
yeah. Like
That'd be cool.
I maybe there's a Cyberpunk one where it's a yellow light or
Yeah.
is it like yeah, that would be
And
cool.
like has a unique yellow or like Cyberpunk chassis or Halo chassis. Yeah, dude, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And I feel like that would be way, like you said, way easier to do that for Xbox than because of its simple design than PlayStation. I mean, even though the
Yeah. I
PlayStation
mean,
itself has a more unique look to it, I bet we're going to see some pretty gnarly
you
looking
know,
custom Xboxes.
it's the PS5, it's growing on me a little bit. I mean, it looks pretty cool the more I look at it.
Right,
But when they first unveiled it, I was like, God, I feel like that looks like a router, like an
right,
internet router.
right.
'Cause I feel like I've seen a router like that. And then sure enough, like 2 days after, people were posting pictures of a router that looks identical to the PS5. I'm like, I knew it.
Yeah, dude.
Oh man. I'm not sure about that. Man, yeah. It's gonna be an interesting I wouldn't say console war because I think Microsoft is going in a completely different direction than
I feel
PS5.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know if I'd say they're going in a different direction. I feel like Microsoft shat the bed so hard with how they unveiled the Xbox One. Like, it was more about like TV and media as the all-in-one entertainment system. That's its name is the Xbox One all-in-one entertainment. And
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 focused on the games and Xbox didn't. And that they paid the price. And on top of that, they also charged $100 more than the PlayStation 4. And so what's interesting is Phil Spencer's already confirmed that they're going to have a competitive price point for the Series X, and that it's not going to be $1 more expensive than the digital PS5, which I think is bold. It's
Speaking
like
of digital, do you want to hear a super controversial opinion?
hit me.
I think the next generation, I don't think we're getting an Xbox.
You
I
think it's
think
going to be
I think by the next generation, Microsoft will have fully transitioned Xbox into a platform rather than a console. So I think X by the start of the next generation, Xbox will be Steam. And
really
they'll have a tiny I think if you want to call it a console, I think they'll have some sort of streaming box. So like how they have this I think Lockhart is what the code name is for it that
right,
leaked, which is an all digital console. I
right,
think that's a test. I really think that's a test product because you have the high quality product, you have the high quality, high end super gamer Series X, and then you have this low cost, affordable streaming console that theoretically could do probably the same thing once the internet capability gets there, streaming in 4K, 60 frames, and all this other crazy stuff. I think that's the model that they're going for. I think the Series X is the console to appease people now. I think the Lockhart is the console that they're testing for the next generation, which I think is getting rid of the console in general, turning Xbox into a platform and then just having a streaming box.
I mean, dude,
I
that's
think
very.
that's where it's going.
I mean, I could see that happening. I mean, it's no surprise at all that physical media is on its way out. I
Yeah.
mean, it sucks because I'm a physical media collector. I love having the box and the cases of the games I buy.
I
But
just
I
bought
mean,
2
I
boxes
get
at
it.
Best Buy that didn't have games.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Best Buy, for whatever reason, is selling the collector's edition
Yeah.
steelbooks of games like Doom Eternal and what did you get? Fallout 76 for
Fallout
like
76
five
for like
dollars. And
$5 a
so,
piece.
since I own that game digital, I went and I bought a Doom Eternal collector's edition steelbook, and it's sitting right next to me on my desk right now. But yeah, physical media is on its way out. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
the way we're heading. It's more expensive for the game studios to even to print them onto discs when you can just release them digitally, and
I
more
mean,
people are.
you can kind of tell with the moves that Microsoft has been doing the past few years. I mean, integrate, curating their library so that they're getting, as many of their past games and their current games all playable on any console. Like they're already working on that optimization. Like, I mean, the foundation's already there. I think after a few years, once people are getting more and more into this streaming culture, and they're used to not, it'll get to a point where they're not going to be buying uh, discs anymore, and I that's why I think the way that they've been going the past few years, I'd be shocked if there is a console for the next generation. And I think that's why this console war isn't really anything, because PS5 is very much a traditional, this is the next iteration of the console. We have the first party games that that are for this console and this console only. And you know what? They're good at it. I'll give them that. They crushed Xbox this past generation. And I think with PS5, I think they've got their game libraries. I mean, just look at the reviews for Last of Us Part 2 already. I
Right,
mean, I think they've got it on lock. They are good at what they're wanting to do, and I think
and they hold the
Microsoft is
majority of the
finally,
market share as well, so they're
yeah.
sitting
I think
pretty.
I think Microsoft or Xbox is kind of finding their own. It's like we can make it in the console war, but we could be tapping into this other market that really only a handful of companies are in. I mean, you have Steam, you have Epic Games, you have EA Origin. I don't think Ubisoft has their own launcher, but there's only a handful of them. And could you imagine if a titan like Microsoft came out with their own version of Steam that you can get all of those games onto the Xbox platform? I mean, and it's already integrated into Windows already.
Yeah.
I mean, the pieces are there. That I think that's why the writing's on the wall for me. I think the next generation there will not be a console for
And
Xbox. I
by
think Xbox will be a platform after that. After
and
this
by not being
generation.
a console, you mean like it'll just be like an app like Steam, so it'll be like pretty much PC exclusive, or are you talking about more like the Steam machine where
Like Steam, I guess Steam machine would be like that would be a good way to explain it. So like this, it would be I guess technically it would be a console, but it would be like a streaming box that has the Xbox platform
got
on
you?
it, but
Yeah, I
it
mean,
doesn't house the games. The games are from, a Microsoft server, and you're streaming them over the internet.
yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that happening, especially because I mean, PlayStation's working on something like that as well. It's their cheaper console. They haven't priced it yet, but it's their cheaper console. It's gonna be an all digital game. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be streaming, but I think it's just gonna be like any game you buy digitally, you download and you play like that. But
Yeah.
and what I think is so interesting about that is that Xbox has already confirmed that they're not gonna make their Xbox Series X more expensive than their cheap console, the cheapest, the digital one. So it's like,
Yeah.
dude, who's gonna
Dude,
buy this?
I think that's why they haven't released a price
They're
yet.
waiting. Everyone's
I think
waiting,
they're both waiting to see who's going to release a price first.
and then they're gonna try to
I
undercut each other.
think, well, here's I don't know. I feel like Microsoft has more room to undercut than Sony does. So I think Sony has like a set price in mind already. They just don't want to release that and
If
then,
Microsoft's going to
have
come
the
in and
they don't want to
lowball.
release it as soon and then have an article 2 days later that Microsoft, PS5 unveils price. It's 449.99, and then 2 days later Microsoft reveals price 399.
Yeah,
You know, so
that's
I think that's why they're holding off so the marketing doesn't kill them.
for sure. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I would do the same thing because I mean, it's like they know that they want to have a competitive price point, but in order to have a competitive price point, you gotta counter.
You
And
know
so
what's so interesting about that is I think now, I that's why I also believe that this generation of consoles and games, I think is going to be one of the best generations for gaming that we've ever had,
I 100%.
because
I
because they both have had incredibly great success, with the Xbox 360 and then the Xbox, and of course, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4, but they both had their incredibly large missteps with the beginning of the Xbox One and then the beginning of the PS3.
right.
So like now they're taking it's like now they're not making any mistakes.
Yeah, it's like
They've learned from
now
their
we're gonna
past,
have
and
a
it's
good, solid, head to head, and
now we're getting Michael Jordan versus Larry Bird or something crazy.
but I
you
mean
know?
that's true, but that means that Halo Infinite's got to bring it.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like, if you look back at like the history of since 343's had Halo, they rushed out Halo 4 in 2 years. It had the shortest dev time of any Halo game. And then Halo 5, I mean, say what you will about the multiplayer. Multiplayer is actually a good amount of fun, but the campaign is the worst in all the Halo games.
Yeah. I
And then
mean,
and
it,
so now Halo Infinite has the longest dev time, almost double the dev time of any Halo game in history. And it's
I mean, how do you expect your console to succeed when your flagship franchise, the two games that released for it, were subpar?
for sure. And you got to keep in mind that I bet a lot of the reason that Halo 4 and 5 were so subpar is because of how poorly the Xbox One was received when they announced it. They're like,
Mhm.
okay, we announced the Xbox One. They got all that flack, and they're like, shit, we need Halo. We got to have Halo. Get it out as fast as you can. And then it fell on its face. And then it fell on its face again. And so now we're going into Halo Infinite, and they're like, we're going to give you all the time you need because more now than ever, we need Halo back. And so Halo's got to bring it. But you also seen throughout the whole last generation, Phil Spencer with everything, all the studios they've been buying. And speaking of which, freaking WB. We'll talk about that in just a second. I don't know if you've heard about that, but
Wait, hold on a second.
what's up?
Come back to that because I do want to hear.
Microsoft, dude.
I did not hear that.
Microsoft wants to buy WB Interactive, which means
Isn't WB? Don't they have a first party contract with Sony though?
not anymore.
Or
They had some exclusivity deals with like the Arkham games. Like they would
yeah,
get special things on PlayStation, like the Adam West suit. But dude,
freaking Adam West is still not on
exactly,
Xbox One, and I'm shook about it. How
dude,
how do you drive around in the '60s Batmobile
without
with
Adam West.
freaking Robin and Batgirl? I'm sorry, okay, sue me.
Yeah,
I'm not
dude.
sexist, but that's
Yeah.
I mean not that's ridiculous. I'm so sorry. If anyone watches this, I'm shook. I've been shook about this. I'm going off a tangent on for a second, okay? So Arkham Knight came out, and then they released that Batman pack, which when the original marketing with that pack, they said you get Robin and Batgirl now, and then the following year you get Adam West. That's what the marketing was. And then there was some stupid thing where Sony, I guess, bought the right entirely to keep Adam West off of the Arkham Knight Xbox One version. I have never forgive Sony for that. I was so mad that like I kid you not, Alex, at least once a month, I am not joking about this. Once a month, I will go into the Xbox marketplace. I will pull up Arkham Knight and I'll go through the expansions and the DLC and I'll see if Adam West is added. That game's been out for what, 4 years?
Dude, it's been out 5 years.
5
5 years this
years.
summer. 5 years. Yeah,
I've
5 years, dude. 2015.
I've checked Alex 60 times.
But dude,
Nothing.
if you think about that though, if Microsoft buys WB Interactive and Arkham becomes a Xbox exclusive,
Oh
then
my gosh.
that's
Could
their
you
counter to
imagine?
Spider-Man, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
I saw a hilarious meme of this dude laughing his ass off. It's like Spider-Man's a PlayStation exclusive, and then they saw the headline that says Microsoft's trying to buy WB Interactive, and they're like, "Oh shit," because now they're losing their Arkham exclusive shit, and now it's gonna be, oh man, if they buy it, dude. I mean, eye for an
Man.
eye.
Yeah. I I that that is a freaking sucker punch if I've ever seen one. Say,
Word.
okay, you got Spider-Man. That's cool. Well, we're gonna take Batman.
which,
Cool. See you later.
which I mean, and God, who made Spider-Man? What dev studio is that? I'm thinking.
Insomniac?
Insomniac, yeah. Like they were pretty transparent with like, how much the Arkham games were an inspiration to make Spider-Man. So it's like, come on.
Damn. And if
Yeah,
I'm being real, if I had to choose between Spider-Man and Batman, I'd choose Batman in a
I would
heartbeat.
too. I honestly would too. Batman's my
Yeah.
hero. I love Spider-Man. I literally bought a PlayStation 4 so that I could play Spider-Man. Granted, I bought it like a year and a half early because I wanted to play Horizon Zero Dawn and The Last of Us. But
I
either
did
way, I
I
still
did
did.
the same thing. Well, no, I did the same thing. I bought it for God of War, and then
Oh,
Spider-Man came out a few months later because I got it for at Black Friday for, when they had the sale.
yeah.
It came with Uncharted 4 and the Uncharted Legacy for like $300 or something. So I'm like,
Damn.
yeah, I might as well pick that up because God of War's coming out. So I picked up that and then got God of War. And oh man, like God of War is, like I said, I'm a huge Microsoft fanboy, but if I was going to list my top 5 from this last generation, God of War would be on that list. It would probably be pretty close to the top of that list. It'd be
I've
3 or 2
actually
for me.
I've actually started it over a couple weeks ago, and I've been kind of trying to run through it again. And like, I mean, I know, I mean, I don't want to rustle any feathers, but it's like my favorite part about that game is the set pieces. Like when when the
Mhm.
sea serpent came out of the water, that felt epic. When you follow that witch lady, and she lives underneath a giant turtle, I was like,
Yeah.
that's freaking cool.
Here's the thing with that game, Alex, and it's going to be really tough cuz you're kind of like me. You get like you play certain games for a little bit and then you immediately jump to something else and you're like jumping back and forth to things. God of War, the best experience you're going to get from that game, because it's probably a 8 to 10 hour campaign total. The best experience you're going to get to that game and is if you sit down and you play that game and nothing but that game from start to finish. That way
Right,
you're taking in that story from the first minute to the last, back to back to back to back, with no breaks of other games in between.
right.
That's the way to play that game. Like if I had that game still and I wanted to play it through a second playthrough, I would drop everything and play nothing but that game for 3 or 4 days because that's how the story works in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's just like, I don't know. It's weird when I get my PlayStation hooked up and I want to play exclusives. I'm literally hopping in between God of War and The Last of Us Remastered at the same time. Even though I've beaten Last of Us Remastered, it's like it's hooked up, so I want to play it. And especially since Last of Us 2 just came out, and I've been wanting to get into that, but I wanted to rebeat Remastered first. So yeah, I've been kind of hopping back and forth between God of War and Last of Us. But either way, dude, Sony's exclusives killed this gen. And so
Yeah.
if Microsoft's going to compete, they need to bring out the big guns. Halo has to show up. You know what I mean? They have to bring it, and it's got to be good. We know Phil Spencer's bought studio after studio for Xbox, and I mean Fable has been sitting here dormant for years.
Dude, if
And
okay, like don't get me wrong, I am super super stoked for Halo Infinite, but if we don't hear anything about Fable on the 23rd, I'm going to be a little upset.
dude, I've been
I am dying for another Fable game.
the past 3 years at E3. Because I always write down my predictions. I'm like, my prediction is that we're going to see Fable in the
I
next
thought
Arkham game.
last year for sure. I
Oh,
thought
for sure.
last year for sure we
Yeah,
were going to hear it. Like
at least
the
the
way
last
that the
2 years.
rumors were going.
Yeah, at least the last 2 years, I've been like, we're going to see Fable and Arkham. Mark my
I
word.
was I
Go
was
play
so
with
certain last year. I was like arm crossed Fable is coming out. Just watch. It'll come out. They're going to show it. And they never did. It's going to come out. Like this, I will be so mad if it is not at least at the very least, a launch title for the Series X.
I don't know if it'll be
You know?
a launch title, but I want at least an announcement. I want them to be like, this is the
that'd
game.
be a heck of a reboot though, because wasn't the OG Xbox, wasn't Fable one of the release titles for that one?
I didn't have an original Xbox at launch. I don't think it was a launch title, but it might have been. I don't know. That's a good question.
Up, bro. I know we've probably not going to be on for a couple more minutes, but I want to at least
if you
look
were to
up
ask me, I'd say the original Fable came out in like 2006. No,
much sooner than that.
2005. 2004, 2006. You're already in next gen, so no, that's already 360 days. So I'd say 2004. Take it or leave it.
So okay, so before I look that up, the launch games for the Xbox were Halo Combat Evolved,
Woo!
Project Gotham Racing, and Dead or Alive 3. Okay, so I was wrong. So Fable release date 2004, September 14th, 2004.
I win.
Good call. Man, I could have swore it was much sooner than that. I guess not.
Yeah, dude. But Fable needs to make a comeback. I mean, dude, and that's the thing. It's like PlayStation's over here giving us new IPs. Like they're giving us Spider-Man and Horizon Zero Dawn. That's brand new shit. And I want Microsoft needs to do the same, dude. Give us Microsoft owns Rare. Give us a new Conquer game. Hell yeah, baby.
Could you imagine if the announcements on the 23rd, like
we get Conquer Live and Reloaded.
If I was Sony, I would be scared if the release, like the games they showed off were Halo Infinite, Fable, and then Psychonauts. Because they've been working on they picked up the dev team that was working on the new Psychonauts game.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I kind of said it as a joke just now, dude. But dude, I'd shit a brick if they announced another Conquer game.
And then also think of this too. Like, yeah, you're gonna get some console releases day one, but you're also not gonna have that weird lull, like that first year lull, like we had with the Xbox One and the 360,
right?
Where you didn't have any games to play.
Right.
Your entire library carries over.
Yeah.
So I have 400 games on my humble brag on my games library. That's going to carry over. So it's not like I'm going to not have anything to play.
Oh yeah, dude.
So,
yeah, and not to mention with the smart delivery, a lot of those games are going to get free enhancements for the next gen. So that's great, dude. I love that Microsoft is pushing that. I read an article about that today. Microsoft's pushing really hard for the devs. It's ultimately up to the devs of the games.
Yeah.
But they're like, we don't want to charge Xbox players to buy a game that they already own. If you bought it for Xbox One, you should have a free upgrade for Series X. And I love that.
And I saw that most devs and most large devs are going that direction for the first.
I saw Cyberpunk
for the first wave.
Halo. I mean, I imagine every single Microsoft first party game studio is going to do it. But I mean,
Halo is doing it. Assassin's Creed Valhalla for sure is doing it. Cyberpunk is doing it. The EA titles are doing it as well, as long as you redeem it before the following year's title.
Right.
There's a couple more big ones that are doing it. 2K can just fuck right off, if you ask me, because they're not. That dude. Here's one last thing. So, Kobe Bryant passed this year. Really, I don't know how much you're into sports or anything like that.
I heard.
Yeah. I big into basketball. I was really like the way that it happened and just how quick it happened. He was still young, dude.
Right.
Like he had just retired, 2 or 3, 2016. So 4 years. Like he was just starting his life, man. And it happened so quick. It wasn't fair. And the way that NBA 2K honors him is by creating the Mamba edition, the $100 edition where they screw you.
Dude.
Like, that pissed me off so bad. Like I know you want to honor Kobe Bryant this year. Like it'd be stupid not to honor him in some way, but to scam your customers into buying 2 versions of a game, and the way like the whole system that they have is so jacked up that you can't understand what you're paying for. and then you slap his name on it. That's incredibly insulting to me.
dude. It's
And
cashing in on tragedy.
shame on those 2K execs that are just trying to make a quick buck
Yep.
for just shitting on his name, because that, I mean, such a great person. If you know anything about Kobe Bryant, just the stuff he did outside of basketball, like such a great person, and for them to shit on it like that, just sorry. I had another tangent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but I mean yeah. I don't really trust like sports games in general. So it's like,
Yeah,
dude, I
they're
saw
like,
a thing. I think it was last year with Madden. It was like they talk about how every Madden is like, they reinvent itself and all this and that. But somebody zoomed in
oh
on like
god.
the audience, and it was like Madden 20 had like and it was so fucked up in the corner, like way up in the crowd, and they're holding banners and shit. It had a sign that said Madden 18. And what's bizarre is it's not only they forgot to change it to Madden 20, but it's not even Madden 19. That was a 2-year-old banner. And, it's just like, dude.
I did genuinely think about getting this new Madden, but I don't know. At this point,
Well, I
fucking
mean,
sports
it's
games
your
are a joke.
patriotism, dude. It's got the freaking Kansas City Chiefs on the cover.
Yeah. I honestly thought about getting Madden 20 for cheap just so I could have the copy
Okay,
with Patrick Mahomes on front.
dude.
But
Dude, I bought a Kansas City Star the day after they won the Super Bowl. It's framed.
oh yeah, I saw pictures of that. Those are really cool.
Yeah. Word.
So before we're running a little long, which we always do, but hey, you know what? This is 51:30, I think is way better than we've been doing. So, we're doing good.
Covered everything under the sun, dude. It's like, you're here for games, we got you. You're here for
Yeah, where
John
did we
Wick,
go?
got you. Holding
We
your
went hiccups. We went hiccups to holding your breath to John Wick to something something something, and then Xbox, and then 2K being shit, and I don't know. Do you okay? So before we end, as you know, Alex has his own channel, which is, I believe, at one point, I think it said 1.07 thousand subscribers or something like that.
dude.
Pretty,
I don't know.
you're
It's
getting pretty
weird.
popular.
I stopped like looking too often just because after you hit 1,000, it stops keeping track of exactly how many you have.
Yeah,
So I lost my obsession with looking every day.
it's okay. I look for you.
but but yeah, I mean over there I'm working on a bit of I'm like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm just so excited for Halo Infinite. I've been pumping out more and more Halo content. Actually, some of the most fun I've had making content for the channel is this Halo content that I've been making. A series I've been calling the Evolution of Halo. I've been
Yeah,
having a lot of fun with it, just breaking down the changes of certain aspects of Halo within each Halo game. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. They take so long to make. I usually upload every 3 days, but I haven't uploaded in 6 days because these videos take so damn long to make. But I enjoy it. It's some of the most fun I've had making videos. I'm in the middle of making another one right now, and I think once we're done here, we're actually gonna kick back and stream a bit of
stream a
Halo.
little bit of Halo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna
But
throw.
yeah, this week, I think I want to start working on some of those projects I talked to you
Uh-huh.
about the RP stories, or the journey
Word.
stories.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk to you about that later too. Maybe not tonight since we're streaming Halo, but sometime soon, maybe this weekend or something. I want to nail down a date to start doing that.
Oh my
Um,
god, dude! And we already
but
have the subjects for future streams. We didn't even talk about
yeah.
War of Rights, homie.
Oh my God.
Oh man, stay
I
tuned.
knew I was forgetting. Okay. You know what? Next week, next week, next week, be ready for it, guys. We're talking War of Rights. God, are we talking War of Rights?
100 civil
Hopefully we get
war.
another session in before then.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking. Okay.
We're also gonna be
Well,
streaming. I was talking to the rest of the crew, and we're gonna hopefully sometime probably this weekend we're gonna try to stream it. So
yeah, awesome.
we're gonna have video, man. We're
And
gonna break down.
just so because last time I checked, we did have a couple people listening, unless it's Brett just re-listening 3 or 4 times. Which, if
Brett.
that's the case, thank you, bud. I love you. Alex says hi. But yeah, for the listeners, if they don't know already, Alex, where can they find your content?
You can find all of the content that I make and we make on the YouTube channel Live from My Basement. And also, might as well throw this in there too. Jake, I finally made a Twitch, and there's a link to it on my YouTube about and my.
Are you doing like actual live streams? Apart from recording or working on it? What's that Twitch handle then?
It is, man, I never had to say it. It's Live from My Basement, dude. One word. It's Twitch./Live from My Basement.
All right. You know where to find him then. YouTube.com/Live from My Basement, Twitch.tv/Live from My Basement.
There it is. That's the one.
You can find Pixel Beast on YouTube, youtube.com/Pixel Beast. I also do upload this to iTunes and ShareCloud as well on Sundays, and the following day the podcast pops up on YouTube. So if you want to check that out there, youtube.com/pixelbeast. Again, thank you for joining me. I know it's been a little bit of hiatus, but I had a good time.
Yeah, it's been a not exactly super well structured, but it was a good time. I love it.
You know what? I had fun though.
Oh yeah,
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. So, yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.